Hey y'all, Kidney Cat here. Do you have late-stage kidney disease? If so, it's possible that you're following a highly restrictive diet right now. Low sodium, low potassium, low phosphorus, fluid restriction, and maybe even a protein-restricted diet. But what happens after you get a kidney transplant? What would your diet look like then? That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. There are two main considerations post-transplantation, and that's the Mediterranean diet and enhanced food safety precautions. And I'm going to get into both of those right now. The Mediterranean diet is a plant-centered diet, but it is not vegetarian. This diet is recommended post-transplantation because it helps lower blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, and can reduce inflammation in the body overall. It is an amazing diet. And there are many diets out there that are very similar to a Mediterranean diet. They might just have different names. I'm going to give you an example of what a Mediterranean meal would look like. First, you're going to take a plate, divide the plate in half, and then divide that half again into a fourth. That's a little complicated, I know. Just look at the picture. Half of the plate is going to be non-starchy vegetables. A quarter of the plate is your starch food, which could be grains like whole grains. It could also be starchy vegetables like potato, corn, peas, sweet potato. And then the other fourth of your plate is going to be protein. Of course, on the Mediterranean diet, they push a lot of beans and legumes, but that doesn't mean it has to be vegetarian. You can also do lean meat. Think of a skinless chicken breast or a fish. But that doesn't mean that you can't have red meat. Occasional red meat is okay on the Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet also includes a little bit of dairy, think Greek yogurt, think goat cheese, and a little bit of fruit for sweet stuff. What you won't see on the Mediterranean diet is a lot of processed foods or a lot of restaurant meals. Most food is home cooked. When you home cook foods, you can control how much salt you put in there, how much sugar you put in there, how much fat you put in there. Hopefully it's heart healthy fat like olive oil. If you feel intimidated by this diet, you are not alone. Please check out my Mediterranean diet, the easy way video. I'm going to break it down for you and make it a whole lot simpler than you think it is. You can definitely follow this. And the greatest thing about this diet is that it's not an all or nothing thing. Any little changes you make to your diet towards the Mediterranean diet are going to be beneficial for you. All right, food safety is next. If you don't already know, after kidney transplantation, your immune system is going to recognize that kidney transplant, which they call a graft, as an invader, and it's going to do everything it can to attack it. And to keep your new kidney safe, you will be prescribed some immunosuppressant medications, which are wonderful. However, if you get an infection, like a bacteria or a virus, that bacteria or virus has a great opportunity to take over your whole body, cause a lot of damage. You could end up in the hospital and end up losing your new kidney, your new graft. So food safety is really important. And moving on to the first part of food safety, it is washing your produce. Yeah, I know, the produce might look clean, but I promise you, there could be feces on there, dirt, bacteria, mold, bugs, all kinds of stuff that you just can't see with your naked eye. So you definitely want to wash your produce in water. Some people also use a baking soda water mix or a little vinegar. There's even commercially available produce washes out there. Those are all fine. You can do what you want. I just want you to wash it. Even foods that you think, well, I'm not going to eat the outside of, why am I going to wash it? Like this cantaloupe. But I'm going to tell you, if you cut into the cantaloupe with a knife, that knife is bringing bacteria from the surface of the cantaloupe down into the flesh of the cantaloupe, and you are going to eat that bacteria. So you're going to want to wash this thing no matter what. And even if you see a bag of produce that says it's already been washed, it's ready to eat, don't trust it. Go ahead and wash it anyway. For example, the spinach over here, or maybe some lettuce leaf, you want to wash them anyway. If you are like me, you've probably taken a whole bunch of paper towels and tried to dry off your greens after you wash them, and it's a pain in the butt. I recommend you go out and get yourself a salad spinner. They are worth it. If you don't want to pay for it though, go to the Goodwill, look in the section that has the punch bowls. You're bound to find a salad spinner. The next part of food safety would be to keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. It's a very annoying saying, but it is very true. Bacteria thrive in temperatures between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to keep cold foods under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what your refrigerator does. If you check your refrigerator to make sure it's running, make sure the temperature gauge in there says it is 40 degrees or less, okay? And hot foods, you want them over 140. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If there's a potluck at your work and you're going to be serving meatballs in a crock pot, wonderful. You just want to make sure that those meatballs in that crock pot are over 140 degrees. If they're not, kick up the temperature of the crock pot. And if you're going to serve something cold like this potato salad, take that bowl of potato salad and place it within another bowl of ice. That way the ice is keeping it cool from the bottom and you're not making anybody at your work sick and you're not getting sick yourself. The third part of food safety is respect expiration dates. Respect them. Yes, some food might be okay to eat a couple of days beyond the expiration, but you're not going to take that chance. It's not worth it. And if you're eating a big pot of food like this picture over here, that's way more than you can eat at one meal. What you're going to have to do is eat the leftovers of that within 3 days or freeze them. And that way you can eat it later on. If you get a restaurant food though and you get some takeout, eat it the next day or toss it out. Too much bacteria, y'all. And if you're reheating leftovers like this guy over here, looks like he's got some chili. He's put it in the microwave. You don't want it to be where you pull it out of the microwave and some of it's hot and some of it's cold and you're like, oh, it's good enough. It is not good enough. You want to cook that thing where it is just smoking hot. It needs to be over 165 degrees to kill enough of the bacteria that has grown on it. Trust me, heat up your leftovers. And a great gift idea for somebody that's had a kidney transplant is a thermometer. They're going to use it a lot. The fourth part of food safety is handling raw meat, like this stuff over here. If you're cooking raw meat, you want to make sure that it's well done. There shouldn't be any pink spots. There shouldn't be any blood draining out of it when you press your fork down on it. Well done, y'all. And when you're cutting up raw meat, you want to have a designated cutting board and a designated knife for that situation. You don't want to be taking your produce and putting it on that cutting board that you had raw meat on because the bacteria from that raw meat is getting on your produce and it's going to ruin your day. Even in your refrigerator, you want to store raw meat at the bottom. You don't want to put it up top and have that raw meat juice dripping onto your strawberries. And when you're at the grocery store, bagging up your groceries, keep that meat away from everything else, okay? Respect it. And you might not believe this, but that was the short version of food safety education. When you get to a transplant center, they don't mess around. They're going to go into a lot more detail about food safety than I just did. So again, the two main dietary recommendations post-transplantation are going to be the Mediterranean diet and enhanced food safety precautions. But what about some other considerations? Everybody is unique. Everyone's going to need a different diet. Your transplant center is going to look at your blood for your blood sugar, your cholesterol, electrolyte minerals. They're going to look at vitamins. And they're going to make recommendations to you. For example, maybe your potassium is still high even after transplant and you need a low potassium diet. Or maybe your magnesium happens to be on the low side and you've got to take a supplement. Or maybe your blood sugar is not under control and the doctor wants you to follow a carbohydrate controlled diet. It's just going to depend on the person, and that's what your team is there to help you with. Also, you want to get all the information possible about all of the medications you're on. And I highly recommend talking to a pharmacist because they eat and breathe medication. And what you want to learn from them is what medications need to be taken on an empty stomach, what can be taken with food. Is there a food that you need to avoid with a certain medication like a grapefruit, pomegranate, milk, maybe certain teas? But let's say that you're not at a transplant center right now and you're not even at a dialysis center. You've got kidney disease, you don't have a dietitian. Talk to your nephrologist and try to get a referral to see a dietitian. You can find a dietitian in your area or one online at www.eatright.org. And if you're still with me, I wanted to talk about something close to my heart, and that is weight gain post-transplantation. Weight gain after transplantation is a huge issue. In the January 2023 version of the Journal of Renal Nutrition, I saw an article, and I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. The article is entitled, "What is Known About Dietary Interventions and Body Weight Management After Kidney Transplantation?" A scoping review. And the whole scoping review part means that they looked at 13 different studies. And these studies were done on how to keep people from gaining weight post-transplantation, right? And they focused on dietary interventions. So let me read a little bit from this study. Despite improving patients' survival rates and long-term allograft survival, kidney transplantation often leads to complications such as cardiovascular events, post-transplant diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and obesity, which are commonly associated with delayed graft function and graft loss. Again, the graft is the kidney, the transplanted kidney. So gaining weight after transplantation can really impair its function. So what's going on? One rule of thought is that a lot of the medications you have to be on post-transplantation make you very hungry, make it hard not to gain weight. And another thought is that, if you were on a really restrictive diet before transplant and you haven't been able to eat certain things in many years and all of a sudden you can eat them, I mean, who wouldn't be excited about that? That's definitely contributing to weight gain in my opinion. So each of these 13 studies have different schemes, but they all basically put patients on a Mediterranean diet or a diet similar to Mediterranean diet. Some of them were also recommended to do exercises. And in some studies, they had a group of people that got a dietitian to see them all the time, lots of intensive education, and then another group that was left to their own devices. And I want to read what the results are, what the consensus of those 13 different studies was saying. After the implemented interventions, most studies reported no difference in body weight or BMI. I'm going to say that one more time. No difference in body weight or BMI. Dietary interventions had no difference. The authors do point out that only 3 of the studies they looked at were randomized clinical trials. That's the good stuff. But to me, it doesn't matter. You had 13 different studies and almost all of them are showing absolutely no difference. I gotta say, I was not really shocked by the results. Even when we look at the general population, dietary education seems to make no difference with weight loss, at least not in the long term. So why would we think that it would work in the kidney transplant population? Anyway, I just wanted to say, when you're focusing on your diet and how you're eating, don't think about weight loss. If you do, I think that's going to stress you out. You're going to make unhealthy choices. Instead, I want you to think about how you can eat that it's going to nourish your body. Think about self-love and think about self-care. That's it for this video. If you felt like you understand a little bit more about what your diet would look like after kidney transplantation, please give me a thumbs up. I do these videos for fun, not for an income, so your encouragement is greatly appreciated. If you need more videos like this in your life, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.